Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1133A, and today's date is November 21st, 2016, and the title of the episode is, The Central Banks Just Indicated Their Next Move, Ban Cash, Raise Rates, Crash the Economy. Let's get into the economic collapse financial news. Now, we've been looking at many different indicators with regards to the economy, and we are seeing that a lot of these indicators are flashing at us bright red, telling us we are in a recession heading towards a depression. The Chicago Fed National Activity Index rose to a negative 0.08 in October from negative 0.23. And the October reading shows U.S. economic growth really isn't going anywhere. We're still in the negative range. But when we look at the index 3-month moving average, which tends to offer a clearer picture of the trend in the economic activity, and the monthly reading alone, well, it weakened to negative 0.27. And this tells us that this economy that we're in, it is deteriorating very quickly. In September, it was at a negative 0.2. So what we're seeing right now is the economy is under a lot of pressure. We're seeing a lot of manipulation, and we know there's a lot of manipulation of a lot of the data that they're throwing at us. And we've looked at like the auto sale numbers where they channel stuff, the auto dealerships, they call that sales when they stuff the lot. We know with unemployment, people have just fallen off the job market. We know they count part-time jobs as full-time jobs. When those part-time jobs have ended, the people have gotten laid off. Most of them, well, they're not counted as a loss. And we're starting to get information that these retail numbers that they've been throwing at us, well, they are manipulated, and we can see how they're manipulating them. The Census Bureau announced retail sales for October. And they were out there telling us it's 0.8%, and we looked through them and we said, yes, a lot of the gas prices push them up. And for these retail numbers, what they do is something very interesting. The Census Bureau and other government agencies compile figures, and they use adjusted seasonal variations and holidays and trading day differences and all these different things to manipulate them a little bit, but that's not what I'm talking about. For example, health and personal care stores had a whopping 7.6% increase in October. But underneath that calculation, there's no data. Only an asterisk. And if you go down to the footnote, it says that advanced estimates are not available for this kind of business. So then how did the Census Bureau determine that sales were a 7.6% increase in health and personal care for those stores? If it doesn't provide any data, something doesn't make sense. Well, furniture and home furnishing stores also had a 3.4% sales increase. But again, the same thing, there was no data. So when data is provided to the Census Bureau, those numbers are not necessarily used in the calculations. For instance, if the analysts at the Census Bureau think that one of the company's data that they've given the Census Bureau is not credible, they can have their computers impute what the right figure might be. And if they disagree with those numbers, the computer comes up with they can do something called a hand trend. Many people call it spitballing, coming up with sales numbers for a retailer because the one provided by the company or the computer's computation didn't feel right. Apple, for instance, won't provide monthly numbers to the Census Bureau. And how can anyone know what the technology industry is doing if Apple's iPhone 7 numbers are completely missing? Another example is if a chain store goes out of business, for instance, its sales don't drop to zero. So if all the stores close, they don't drop to zero automatically. they phase them out slowly over many months because they don't want to hurt the statistics. I mean, this is complete and utter manipulation of the system. These retail numbers, they are worthless. They tell us absolutely nothing. Because if they don't like the numbers they're receiving, or if they don't have the numbers, they just come up with numbers that they feel the industry is putting out there. This is, the healthcare stores, I think they're doing about a 7% sales. That's the numbers we're going to use here. So once again, we're coming across where these numbers are completely manipulated. They make no sense. And if many, many stores close down all at once, they go bankrupt, the doors shut, everything just doesn't drop to zero. And now everyone who is thinking like, now this is starting to make sense. Now I understand, if Sports Authority completely goes out, how can sporting goods still be doing well? Well, over many months, 4, 5, 6, 7 months, they phase it out slowly. So you can't notice anything. But again, they're manipulating the data completely, which shows us this economy right now is much worse than we really know. And we've been tracking it, following it, and understanding it. And what we're seeing right now is things are much, much worse than we've ever thought. Actually, this holiday season is going to be a complete and utter disaster. Because these retail numbers they're going to throw at us, we know they're completely fake. We know that stores are going to be closing down. We know the sales aren't going to be there. I mean, if you look right now, they've been telling us Black Friday sales for almost every day leading up to Black Friday. This tells you something. We see the CEO of UBS and Credit Suisse, the former CEO, I should say, Oswald Grubel. Well, he's criticizing the growing strength of central banks and their supremacy over the markets and other banks. He's saying that right now, with the use of negative interest rates and huge positive balance sheets, well, it looks like the central banks right now, they are at the point of no return. And this whole thing will end in a disastrous crash. And that's where we are headed, towards a disastrous crash. And we're getting indicators of what the central bank's next move is going to be. It's going to be a ban on cash, because we're already seeing it in Australia, we're seeing it in India, and this is going to intensify and spread to other countries. We also see that they're planning to raise the interest rates this December. Now, if they raise the interest rates this December, it's not going to be by much, but they're going to put us on the path to crashing the system. This is why they're increasing the interest rates right now when all other areas are negative or zero. Because when you look at this, you can see that they're preparing to ban cash because they want to keep the cash inside the bank. They're going to raise interest rates, and that is going to lead to a crash. So I personally think they will raise the interest rates this December. They did it last December. What happened to the markets? Well, it looks like everything's already baked in right now, and they are preparing to bring this system down. We know that over the past, every time there's a two-term president, the market always crashes with the next president. We can see they're setting it up to have the whole thing crash during this period of time. So we can see right now they are planning for this system to come down. Because look what has happened already. The TPP is dead. The TTIP is dead. Countries now are moving towards China's free trade deal. We see Australia is doing this. We see the Philippines are going to be doing this. And we're going to see a lot of other countries doing this. The U.S. is not going to be among the signatories for the free trade deal with China. But we're going to see many other countries making this deal. And we can see already that everything is now shifting from the west to the east, with everything they duplicated, the payment system, the Shanghai Gold Exchange, the yuan in the basket of SDRs. Everything is moving in that direction slowly but surely. And look, over time, look what has happened. And we can see that everything is now in full gear to move away from the dollar. And this is why people need to be prepared and ready for this major crash. We can see they're intensifying the ban on cash. Most likely, they'll raise the interest rates in December. This is a signal that everything is prepared and they have the green light. And they will be bringing down the economy. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.